And welcome to Thrift Shop Biography. This is the one about Maria Callas. Thank you for listening. Hello, Cleo.
Oh, hi, Richard.
How are you?
I'm all right. Are you all right?
I'm kind of all right. I'm a bit anxious to do this episode because for the first time ever, we've read different books.
Yeah, different books about the same person by two different people.
And the person in question is Maria Callas. And I've read the book about her written by her mother.
And I've read the book written by her sister.
Yeah, I found them both at the same time. Do you remember? £1 each. I was so pleased.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
And I thought it presented a problem because which one do we read? And then you said, let's read one each.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, if we had time, we might have read them both. But this is genius.
Well, is it genius or is it going to be a terrible, chaotic mess because we've not read the same book?
Yeah. It could be a total mashup because I'll be like, oh, no, you didn't. Oh, yes, she did.
It's interesting because I've just obviously read her mum's account.
Yeah.
There are some things which I think she's conveniently left out, and I'm dying to know if the sister's written about them.
Yes. Well, I've read her sister's account, who basically says her mum was a fantasist who just always created the story as she wanted it to be, but not how it was.
Right.
And she's also a terrible mentalist and a massive nag.
Interesting.
And I bet she doesn't say that about herself.
She never said do you know what? Not at any point in her own book does she call herself a massive mentalist and a terrible nag. No, she doesn't.
Does she not? Well, there you go. That's the first thing you've discovered.
Oh, do you know what? I kind of want to read your book.
I know, I bet you do. But I reckon yours is going to be more interesting.
Do you?
Because, yeah, I mean, at least Maria Callas's mum was Maria Callas's mum, but her sister was a self-confessed absolute nobody. She says she effectively lived a blank life.
Really?
And she sometimes wonders about all the other people in the world leading blank lives where nothing really happens.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, never do you read an autobiography by somebody that nothing happens to. It's only because she wrote about her sister that she got to write one.
Do you know what? I think that's a real shame. Had she lived the same life, but Maria Callas not been her sister, she wouldn't consider herself to have had a blank life. She's comparing herself to her sister, who is a worldwide legend. And of course, anybody's life next to a worldwide legend would seem blank.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But we'll get to that later because she had a lot of disappointments that were nothing to do with her sister.
Okay.
Anyway, we should start. It's very interesting, this.
I know, but hang on. Before we start, I need to ask you what you knew about Maria Callas before you read this book.
Bugger all. Absolutely nothing.
But you mean you knew who she was?
Yeah, she's an opera singer. That's it. That's absolutely it. Zero.
Okay.
Well, that's
fair enough. I think if you're not into opera, I think that's a fair amount to know about her.
Yeah, what did you know? Didn't even know she was Greek. Did I? No, I didn't really know. I didn't know what she was.
I knew pretty much the same. I know a bit more about her. I mean, I listened to her, and I actually have some house guests at the moment who have been going to the opera for 60 years, and I just mentioned we were doing this morning. And I said, to the uneducated person, we are fed the information that Maria Callas is possibly the greatest opera singer who ever lived. I said, with your knowledge, extensive knowledge of opera, is that true? And they basically said, well, she's definitely on the list.
Yeah.
But it's also more about her personal life, which was as tragic as the roles she plays in opera.
Yes.
So all of that kind of feeds into building the legend that is Maria Callas. And they actually said that the critics sometimes would say that Maria Callas doesn't hit all of the notes, but she's such an exquisite communicator of emotion that kind of overplays
yes, that's
everything.
what I've learned. Yeah, I've learned that in this book. Her sister says she really brought the acting to opera at a time when it wasn't so strong. And sometimes she might actually do an off note on purpose because that expressed the story. And so the critics would sometimes go mad and go, it's not right. But she carried on doing it. And eventually the critics came around and realised that, she got the story across and it was brilliant. And now
I love that.
Opera singers act way more than they ever did, and she probably turned that round.
Wow.
So that's a good legacy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you know what? I've been watching her this week when I've been reading the book, just clips on YouTube. And honestly, I have felt the hairs on the back of my neck go up.
Wow.
And I kind of think, if I'm experiencing this watching her on YouTube, could you imagine what it would be like if you were in that room with that voice?
Yeah. I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. Yeah, I know. Maybe I just need to put a jacket on. No, I bet it was amazing.
So let's talk about her through the eyes of her mother and her sister, the massive mentalist and a person who lived a blank life. Maria Callas.
Yes. Callas by name and actually a bit callous by nature, says her sister.
Oh, you see, because callous can also be a bit of hard skin on your foot, can't it?
Yes, it can. I think it's all spelt different.
It never occurred to me that callous actually means mean.
Callous, yes. Mean, yes.
Well, actually, it comes from, I've been practicing this pronunciation, it comes from the Greek name Kalogeropoulos.
Oh, very good.
Which was shortened to Callos, K-A-L-O-S, which then they kind of Americanized to Callas when they got to America.
Yes.
I've read the book by her mum, who is called Evangelia Callas.
And that's shortened to Lister, they call her.
Litzer. And what's her sister's name?
Her sister's called Yacinthi, and that is Americanized to Jackie.
Jackie.
Yacinthi, Jackie. What should we call her? Seems nice to call her Yacinthi, but the book's by Jackie Callas, which is the famous person. All right, we will.
It's Jackie, Mum and Maria.
That's right. And there actually was a third. Vassilis.
Vaseline.
You can put that on your callus.
Vaseline Callas. Oh no. Don't, because some opera people might be listening to this episode. They might have stumbled upon our podcast thinking, oh, this is going to be a good episode about opera. And they're suddenly presented with us two Luddites already making jokes about Vaseline and calluses.
Yes.
Anyways, it's better they know it at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, they can turn it off now. That's true.
Oh, do you know what? So obviously we've read different books. Shall I fill you in on... Do you have the history of the mother in your book? Because it's fascinating.
No, I don't. I know that the dad was a local chemist and a pharmacist, and that was in the days when they mixed the potions, and she married him all her background family were generals and medicine people, but they were quite high up people, yeah? So fill me in on the details. So
Maria Callas's granddad, her mum's dad, was one of the richest men in Greece. They were a very well-known, well-to-do family. Mum is the fifth of 11 children, a very musical family. Her dad, who sounds like a really glorious man, was an amazing singer, and he could sing Italian arias by ear. So he didn't have any formal musical education, but the kids did. And Maria's mum kind of could play guitar and mandolin, but she had a very privileged childhood. And she kind of turned into quite an entitled adult, as we'll find out.
Yes.
But she was very close to her dad. And when she met Maria's father, George the chemist, her dad forbade her to marry him because she was 16 and George was already in his 30s.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
The dad said, I don't want you to marry George. He will not make you happy. She said it was the first time she betrayed her dad and went against his word. She says, I'm marrying him anyway. So at the age of 17, she married this older man, and 16 days before that marriage, her dad died.
Yes.
So drama already.
Yeah, but I think he died, so she went, right, now we can get married, because that was the only thing stopping her.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
That's what Jackie says. And by the way, it makes me laugh, because Jackie says... when Maria suddenly had this voice and it looked like she was going to become someone singing, my mum suddenly made this whole backstory up about the musical side of her family.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So, and then suddenly she came from this musical family.
So she wanted to take full credit.
Yeah, that's what Jackie says. But maybe her dad did sing along to some operas. She suddenly made a big thing about it.
There's a couple of very interesting stories, actually, about Maria's mum's brothers. One of them, I'm going to try and say it without crying. They were a very creative family. And she had this brother called Constance, who was a musician and a poet, and everybody loved him. He was kind of like this boy genius. Well, at the age of 21, he ended his own life, and he had this dog. Before he ended his own life, this dog cried for a week, like he knew what was going to happen. And then when they took Constance in his coffin to the cemetery, the dog would not leave its side.
Oh, wow.
And when they buried him, the dog stayed on the grave and starved itself to death.
Wow.
And then they buried the dog next to him.
Wow.
Isn't that just so sad?
Yeah. What a connection.
I know, right? I mean, animals are amazing.
Yes. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then she had this other brother, the youngest of the 11 children, Theon. We have the war, and then afterwards, Greece had a civil war.
Yeah.
Theon, the youngest kid, he was 28 at this point, was a saboteur, and the Germans hired him during the war to be an engineer at the airbase, and he put sugar in all of the aeroplane gasoline tanks.
Wow.
Which caused them all to crash.
Wow.
Yeah, and they figured out it was him. So he ran up into the mountains and hid. The war ended. The civil war started almost straight away. And the communists found him hiding and tried to convert him to their cause. He said no, so they killed him.
Oh, they killed him. Oh, it says in this book that he was killed, but it doesn't say how or why.
They killed him, and the mum would not believe he was dead because that was the youngest child, and she continued to knit pullovers for him for years afterwards.
Oh, man, that's sad.
There's a lot of tragedy in this family, you know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, that's a background of Maria's mum's family.
Yeah, right. Blimey. Yeah, well then, of course, they had 3 kids, because the first was Jackie in 1917, but the second was a boy. And of course, it's those days where you needed a boy, because the boy will carry on the business.
Yeah.
So they're very happy about that. But he died 2 years later of meningitis.
Awful.
So that's the next massive, massive tragedy to happen to her.
Yeah.
After that, when she's pregnant again, they think, yes, we're going to have a boy to replace the boy. And it was all about the boy. The dad, George, Maria's dad, was a womanizer. I mean, I can only imagine how much Maria's mum bangs on about this, yeah? Because Jackie says in her book that she was on a campaign to bring him down, just to disparage him all the time and make him like he was nothing, and he wasn't nothing. And it took them years to realise that her mum had just campaigned against him, and he wasn't nothing or nobody. He was actually quite a cool bloke and really successful in his business. And if they'd have moved to Athens and he'd have grown his business, the pharmacy, they would have become quite wealthy. But at the point when Maria's mum was pregnant in 1923, he said, right, we're moving to America. And she actually thinks, Jackie thinks, that he said we're moving to America just to annoy mother, because he was sick of her nagging him all the time, putting him down constantly, sick of it. So he was like, let's move to America, and it made mother livid.
Wow.
Why would they go? They could have been rich. He was a nothing, he was a nobody, which is what he had to listen to day in, day out.
This is because she came from such a rich family and she had such a privileged upbringing, and she married a humble chemist.
Yeah.
And then she expected to be kept in the same lifestyle as she had with her very rich family.
Yes.
And you know what? She had to end up working in one of the pharmacies, and she lost the plot.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because she had to do a day's work.
Oh, no.
She's a princess.
Yeah, she is, isn't she? Jackie says she demanded absolute obedience from her kids. She never let up on their mistakes. She'd go on and on for days about one thing they did wrong. And she said it was a sort of madness.
Right.
So that's what I'm getting. Did you get that? Did you actually get that from her?
No,
that
not at all.
She was a bit mad.
No.
You didn't?
No. The fact there's only something very, very close to the end that Maria Callas says that you kind of think, why is she saying that? Right at the end of the book, when they haven't talked for like 10 years or whatever, one of Mum's friends calls Maria Callas and says, I've got your mum here with me. Will you talk to her? And she says, no, I don't want to. Mum is mentally ill.
Right.
And I thought to myself, there's no indication in her mum's book that she has any form of mental illness.
Wow.
But for amazing. Maria Callas to say that, there must be.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't say that about somebody unless they had.
No, you're right. Yeah, well, I'll jump to later on as well when Maria Callas has absolutely refused to talk to her mum for the 15 years that she was really famous. Her mum never stopped writing her letters, mostly demanding money and demanding to be part of her life. And it ended up just demanding money. But she said she'd read some of these letters the mum was sending. She said they bordered on the unhinged.
Okay.
Direct quote.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this makes...
Okay, so we could sort of probably settle that she's a little
unhinged.
bit disturbed. Not just a princess, but a little bit disturbed. And maybe losing your son will make you...
Oh, no doubt whatsoever.
At 2 years old.
That's so sad.
Horrifying.
I mean, she even said that when they get to New York and then she has the baby, which is Maria Callas, and she says she's so disappointed that it's a girl that she can't look at her for 4 days.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, Jackie says
and
that
I'm not judging that because her 3-year-old son has just died, you know, so it's just very, very awkward and horrible for everyone.
It is. But then she says after that 4 days was up, she went the other way and became absolutely besotted and obsessed.
Yeah.
So she does flick back and forth because in their growing up, there's a point where the mum sent them for piano lessons, both of them, and it's Jackie who she thinks is going to be the star, is going to get somewhere with all this piano. She's 100% backing Jackie for quite a lot of years. Mm-hmm. It takes her years to switch to Maria. By the way, at 10 years old, Jackie says she considered suicide.
Wow.
That's how bad the nagging was.
Oh, my God.
Absolute, it was incessant mentalist nagging. And she said that Maria and her were really close when she was Maria's about 6 and Jackie's 12. Like, Maria would just cling to her and just say, please hug me. And she was trying to get love because they weren't getting it from anyone else. Dad was out and Mum was incessantly nagging them and getting on their backs. Moan, on and on and on, she says. And so they clung to each other at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when they'd dress for church and her mum would go, you see, look at them. Other immigrants are better off. Look at them. He's always like, look at them. They're doing all right. Well, what's wrong with you, Dad? Why can't you give us this? Why can't you imagine?
Oh, my word.
Oh, my God.
Well, because he's not one of the richest men in Greece like her dad was. She wants him to provide for them. But he's a chemist and he's just moved to America and opened a little pharmacy.
Yeah, that's right.
They have a modest income.
I tell you what, they still had servants, though, all this time.
Yes, so but this is another thing, right? She always says stuff like, I'm much less off than I was. We've only got 4 servants now. And it's like, oh, my God, everything's relative. There's extremely rich upbringing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't have much sympathy for her.
No.
Mum does talk about the very clear differences in personality between Jackie and Maria. And I think one of the reasons that you're saying that Mum thought that Jackie was going to be the brilliant pianist, singer, whatever. There's quite a gap between Jackie and Maria. It's 6 years. True. I think it's hard to compare those ages. Yeah. Like if Jackie is 10 and she's really good on the piano, well, Maria's only 4.
Yeah.
So it would seem like Jackie is the better one.
That's true.
But Mum says that Maria has this personality which is way more aggressive. So when Maria did start singing and they would both sing together, she said you couldn't hear Jackie because Maria was drowning her out.
That makes a lot of sense. Very competitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, of course, when Maria is 5, she's out with her mum and dad and they've gone to meet Jackie and Jackie is across the road and Maria is so happy to see Jackie. She runs across the road and she's hit by a car. She is dragged for 25 feet and she is unconscious in hospital for 22 days. I think this is another, they've lost their son. They thought now that their little 5-year-old daughter is also dead at this point.
Oh, that's where they became really clingy to her.
And then later on in the book, her mum says that when Maria was a baby, she didn't cry. In fact, she was so placid that sometimes when she was asleep, she would wake her up to make sure she was still alive, because obviously she had this anxiety because she'd already lost a child. And she said even when she woke her up, when she was asleep, she still didn't cry. She was very, very placid. And then she said, as she was growing up, she became very aggressive and self-assured. And she kind of says she thinks it happened when she was hit by a car.
Wow.
Didn't we have that in Roseanne Barr?
Yes, we did. We did. Yeah, that did happen with Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr was all right till she was hit by a car.
Totally changed her life, yeah. Well, Jackie reckons that her mum trained in her this aggressive, competitive nature and this coldness because her mum was the same.
Right.
I mean, her mum at some point has an argument with her family, who Jackie absolutely loved. She said her grandma was so lovely. They were all so relaxed and just this beautiful family. And they lived out in the countryside, didn't they, outside of Athens, and they stayed with them for a bit. And then the mum fell out with them and she wouldn't talk to them for 7 years and wouldn't allow the kids to talk to them. So she didn't get to see her grandma until she was on her deathbed.
Wow.
And she was like, that's the lessons that her mum was teaching us.
Right.
Jackie didn't take those lessons. Maria did. She became cold and calculating and could cut off her own family. And that's lessons taught to her by her own mother. Her mother, she can't even see that it's come from her.
Yeah.
She doesn't realise everything she's just described as Maria is her.
Oh, the mum in her book is a perpetual victim. She can't figure out why Maria is like this to me. Like, why on earth is she treating me like this? We've always had a good relationship. Okay, so she's not even noticing. Well, she's not admitting to herself.
She treats her own family the same. She's trained her to be this person. Yeah, she's totally... In fact, that very ruthlessness is what made her fight to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Because later on, Jackie's having singing lessons and they're going, yes, you have got a great voice. This is partly why you picked up the 2 books. You were like, this sister apparently was more beautiful and had a better voice. So let's find out why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they said, yes, you have got a good voice, this trainer, but have you got a ruthless streak? Because your sister had it and she fought to get those parts, and she fought to get to the top. You can't just have a nice voice. You
know what? We've read like 150 of these books now, and the one thing we do know is that people who strive for fame and success, they are built differently.
Yes, they are.
We talk about this mad energy they have, but also they're a bit mental and they're a bit needy.
And ruthless and focused and... Yeah. Oh, yeah, and really messed up.
Yeah, they are. They're not normal people. It's like if you wanted to be famous and you never became famous, it's because you're probably all right. So you should, be thankful of that.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jackie did not have that. She was actually really quite a normal person. But her mum nurtured that ruthlessness in her and then didn't like it. Mm-hmm. But it got her where it got her. But she wanted to go with her. But if she'd stopped nagging, maybe she'd have taken her with her.
In some regards, she is a bit of a stage mother, isn't she?
Yes. She loved the opera. She bought the pianola and played them opera all the time. They didn't even see an opera till they were much older. I think Jackie was about 20 and Maria was about 14 before they saw their first opera.
Oh, really?
But they lived and breathed it up to that point. Yeah.
Wow.
She said she remembers looking at her sister and just looking at her face and going, oh, my God, she's absolutely entranced. She can see herself. She can see her future.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in 1929, there was a stock market crash.
Yes.
And so Dad lost the pharmacy business. Mm-hmm. So he had to go and get a job and he became a travelling salesman, which took him away from home for months at a time. How convenient.
Yeah. Jackie says... about the Wall Street crash, Mother was delighted. She was right. She totally blamed the entire crash on Father. It was entirely his fault. It was entirely his fault. And I don't know if she talks about this, but at one point she went into the pharmacy and dramatically ate a load of dangerous pills in front of everyone, though. She did it when everyone was there and they had to take her to hospital to have a stomach pumped.
Oh, okay. I need to tell you her side of the story.
Go on then.
Because she only says this at the very end of the book, after she says about Maria saying she's mentally ill.
Yes.
She says that one day in the pharmacy, so she was working in the pharmacy, which I already know she thinks is beneath her. She doesn't want to work in a pharmacy.
No.
Anyway, she says as a young delivery man comes in or something, and she just has a quick exchange with him, and she says that the husband was jealous and threw a book at her or something.
Right.
And she said that she was so distraught at that point she couldn't go on any longer. And she says she grabbed a handful of pills from a bottle and she downed them. But the only person who saw her was the actual pharmacist. And he noticed what she'd done and he got the ambulance out to pump her stomach.
But it was not like no one was there.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But she doesn't say it was a big dramatic gesture, cry for help in front of everyone. She says that it was a serious move to end her life, but the pharmacist saw her do it.
Oh, right.
I totally just think it's because she was a complete privileged princess and now she has to work in a shop for a living and it's too much. She wants to kill herself because of that.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, but that was the end of their marriage. There were separate rooms after that. That was literally the end, apparently. But yeah, I'm laughing, by the way, at things like this. I'm laughing at her because she's this caricature to me now because I feel so sorry for this put-upon kid, Jackie. I mean, literally, even to her death. Jackie was trying to be independent and she said, my mum made me go to her house for the end of her life, like for all these years, and clean and cook for her and sit and have meals with her.
Wow.
Even when she'd moved to the seaside, she had to travel back every single day to do this stuff for her mum. I have no sympathy for her. I think she's a horrible person. I really do. But Jackie's this really ordinary person who's so meek that she doesn't say no. She just still goes and cooks and cleans and does all this stuff every day for her obnoxious mother. Whereas actually Maria had the balls to say no and cut her off. That's where they were totally the opposite. You're like, just say no. She won't.
She won't. And that's why she didn't have a massive career as well. She just didn't have the confidence to do what she really wanted to do, I guess.
No. And the bloke she was in love with for 28 years wouldn't marry her.
Milton.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, does Mother say? Because Mother marched to Milton's dad to force him to marry her daughter, and that just made it worse.
Oh, she doesn't say that.
Does
she
she
just
not?
kind of accepts it. She just says, they didn't marry. She doesn't say any of that she tried to make it happen.
Oh, yeah, she made it so much worse.
Oh, God.
But she only did that once the war had ended because Milton was keeping them alive.
Yeah, right.
With his money. Okay, so Jackie went out with this bloke who wouldn't marry her because his family said, you can't marry this woman, she's not rich enough, because they were a very wealthy family. And 28 years, she nursed him to his death. I mean, she literally nursed him. 10 years he had cancer and it was quite hideous. And she's that person that's given up her life to help that man, got nothing from it, given up her life to look after her dad to the end, given up her life to look after her mum to the end. Oh, and then had to look after Maria's estate and work out all that stuff. She's the trod upon person.
Right,
She's the Cinderella. That's just her life in a nutshell. Yeah, right to the end. Yes.
Right, now I said that obviously Mum doesn't come across as a massive nag in this book. Actually, she unintentionally does. Because the one thing that really, really surprised me and angered me after a certain point, on every other page, and I'm not even exaggerating, she tells us how fat Maria is.
Oh, wow.
She constantly references her weight. She constantly says how much food she's eating. During the war, when there's a food shortage, she says, well, Maria was very unhappy about that. It is literally constant. And so therefore, that tells me that she probably said that to Maria every day of her life.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I have to say Jackie does as well. So she's obviously been raised to comment on
what Jackie says that
weight.
Jackie says that Maria is fat.
Yeah, that her sister's fat.
Right.
I mean, it actually became an issue because, she's very large and therefore they all think she's not attractive. We have to say this. This is the time when the bloke's away, the dad's away, and there's 3 women who really can't get an income. They're bred to believe, actually they could. She could have been a secretary, Jackie, for example. She went to secretarial school. She went to modelling school. Then she was starting to go out with this bloke who was from this fancy family. And he said, my woman cannot be seen to be working. You can't work.
Right.
So she couldn't work. But then so you got these women who really their chance of getting anywhere in life is to marry well. And so actually to not be attractive is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. She was considered not attractive because she had got fat. They use the word fat a lot, you're right. And you see pictures, she is big.
Well, she's an opera singer.
That's what I I thought all opera singers were big.
But it's funny, actually. I never knew Maria Callas was fat. And actually, when she became like the international legend, she wasn't.
She slimmed down and was gorgeous.
Yeah, when she kept saying she was fat all along, you kind of think, well, opera singers tend to be fat, don't they?
Yeah, they did used to be, didn't they? I don't think they are so much now. It was legendary then, though. It's really odd, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that.
So when Maria is 11, she actually enters this competition on the radio, singing, and she wins, and she's given a watch.
Yeah.
So she's kind of usurping Jackie in the music stakes. And I guess in some small way, she has a little bit of validation now that she has a good voice, which she knows, and she's very driven from this early age. So she's won her first competition. I can tell you what else happens around this time. Mum is bought a canary. Does Jackie talk about the canaries?
Yes. Canaries seem to be very important. They love them.
It's bizarre, isn't it? So Mother gets a canary called Stephanakos. And then Jackie is gifted a canary, which she calls Elmina after her mum's actual name.
Yeah.
And then Maria, not to be left out, gets gifted a canary called David.
David.
But David the canary is like the best singer of the three canaries. And Maria kind of really studies the canary singing, and she watches its throat vibrate, and she tries to kind of get the same sound out of her own throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dote on these canaries. And they literally, they're treated like members of the family.
Like some people treat dogs.
Yeah.
These little birds in a cage. Yeah, really true. Yeah, that is a thing.
And then because Maria has won this competition and her mum, see what you're saying now about her being a nag and stuff. And I'm thinking of her more now like a stage mom. Actually, at the age of 12, 13, she wants Maria to get proper vocal training. But it's expensive in New York, where they are, and her dad refuses to pay that much for lessons. And so Mum has the idea of going back to Greece because she's surrounded by her family who are rich. Her family are musical, so she tells us. So they go back to Greece. Now, this is very interesting. Dad will not pay for Maria to have vocal lessons in New York, but he pays for Mum and Jackie and Maria and the canaries to get back to Greece. Yeah. He's dying to get rid of the mum, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, they don't get on, let's face it. She's nagging him all the time, putting him down. Oh, it's awful.
Do you know what, though? I think this is his own fault. He was in his 30s. She was 16. She was with a rich family. He gets a dowry when he marries her.
Oh.
So he probably sought out a rich daughter so he could have the money for his pharmacy business. So I would say, George Callas, this kind of your own making, actually.
Yeah.
And it's terrible that she turned out to be a terrible nag, but that's the risk you take when you marry a teenager.
Yes.
You don't know how they're going to turn out.
No, you don't. That's true.
Yeah.
Plus, he was a womanizer too.
Yeah.
By the time she goes back to New York, she has to kick out his girlfriend.
Oh, really?
Who's living with him. Yeah. Oh, did she not mention that?
No.
Of course she wouldn't, because it's humiliating to her. But yeah, she literally has to throw her stuff out on the street and moves in.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all going on.
So actually, Jackie goes back to Greece a few months before Maria and Mom in 1937. And Jackie kind of prepares for their arrival, telling the family they're coming, get the rooms ready. And then in 1938, Maria, who's now 13, and the mum go back to Greece. Now, the husband has agreed also to send them $125 a month. But actually, the first month he sends them $7. The second month he sends them $17. And then all the money mysteriously gets lost in the mail from then on.
Yes.
So he was just well rid of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But of course, so they're in Greece in 1938, rooming with the family and getting fed well. And so they're not there long when, of course, 1938, by 1939, the war has reached Greece.
Before that, she got into the National Conservatory. So that she's auditioned, and there's this woman called Mary Trevello who said, yes, she's amazing. At 13, but they're like, we don't have the money. She said, it's all right, I can sort out a scholarship. So everything's great.
Right, yeah.
But Maria's too young. She has to be 14 and she was only 13. So they just altered the papers. Yeah, it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah. But the one thing about that is what they say about Maria. She says even the people who don't like her when she becomes famous, everybody recognizes the fact that Maria works really, really hard. And even from this young age with this singing teacher, and she's also playing the piano. It's like she does it morning, noon and night. She's a grafter when it comes to music.
I bet you she's one of those people, though, because it's hell at home, like proper constant arguing, nagging hell at home, who goes, this is my way out. I bet you even if it's subconscious, that's in her head. Yeah, you know, I'm going to work so hard and get out of this.
Get away from my mother.
Yeah, if Jackie's considering suicide at 10, you know what I mean? The opposite of suicide is just to work your way out of it.
That's a real contrast between the sisters, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
To get out of the situation, one's considering killing herself.
Yeah,
the other one's
that's right.
decided to become a world-famous opera singer.
Yeah, two sides of a coin. Yeah.
Wow. They move out of the family home because it's busy and there's lots of people there, and they finally get an apartment, which kind of Mum downplays a bit, but further reading tells you it has 6 rooms, they've got servants, and the canaries have their own room. So it's not so small.
Oh, my God. Jackie says it's unfurnished, and she was really embarrassed to bring Milton, and they were sleeping on the floor. And then when he did come home and saw the state of it, he just furnished it all overnight, and he brought the servants in. He paid for all of it. And she says that her mum constantly always says, I did this, I did that, but it was Milton the whole time. And she couldn't break up with him because he was completely funding those 3 women's lives. And all through the war that is coming, he got them through it.
Oh, it's interesting because what Mum says is that Maria claims she saved our lives during the war.
No way.
And Milton tried to as well. So Mum is also trying to. So everybody's trying to create the story that they helped the family survive.
Yeah. Amazing.
So Maria is studying hard with Maria Travella, and she gets her first professional stage appearance at the Royal Theatre in Athens, and it's in a show called Boccaccio. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
I would like to avoid naming any operas or opera singers.
She's actually one of 4 girls who sing and dance in a barrel. And she gets her first professional payment.
Excellent.
I think she's about 14, 15, right?
And the Conservatory have noticed that she's totally dedicated beyond all normal people. And so they give her, they start giving her really big jobs, don't they? Like Tosca, you know, she's playing the lead in Tosca opposite a really imposing tenor. And it's a game changer. And she's just on her way at this point. And acting as if she believed it, fully immersed in the roles.
Yeah, she's in her head, she's already a huge operatic diva. She just hasn't quite got there yet, but she knows she's going to.
Yeah.
And even when she's playing like the lead in Tosca opposite an established male opera star, the fact that he gets more applause at the end, which of course he would, she's furious about that.
Yeah.
So she's completely...
She's 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
So actually what we should say at this point, in October 1940, the war reaches Greece when Italy, who have teamed up with Germany, invade Athens and they occupy the city.
Yes.
So by April, they've shut down all the theatres, all the schools. Maria has private lessons still. And they actually have to harbour some English soldiers who actually sleep in the canary room. And they would get killed if they were found.
Yes. They all would, yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting episodes which happened during wartime.
Yeah, it's frightening, it's exciting, it's... Oh, my God, right. So there's stuff about the mother taking in Italian soldiers and colonels and stuff, bringing them around to the house and giving them drinks. And it's quite blurry. Like, is she schmoozing them for the sake of Maria? Because obviously Italians are the opera people of the world. And is it to further Maria's career? Is it because the Italians did order the operas to reopen and, you know, Maria was given the parts? Is that why she was schmoozing them? Or there's some rumours that she might have been prostituting herself and offering Maria to these people as well. What do you get from that? Does she mention bringing these Italians home?
Right. From Mum's book, because she does talk about the colonels visiting and soldiers and harbouring soldiers. She's totally doing her duty for the country. But I'm well aware that there were other, not from Mum's book, but just from reading online, that there were other reasons she might have been doing it. Like she might have got extra food if she was kind to the soldiers and stuff.
That's
but basically,
true.
accusations that she was prostituting Maria and Jackie, not necessarily in a sexual sense.
No.
But just letting, using the attractiveness of her young daughters to make life more comfortable during war.
Yes. Well, you've got to do what you can in war. I'll give her that.
It's very, very true.
But Milton, I mean, from Jackie's point of view, her boyfriend Milton, who was completely funding them, paying for their house, paying the staff, paying everything, and getting them food, right? It was a disaster for him because for his business to be connected with that family that was schmoozing with the enemy was a disaster for their family. For Milton's family.
Right.
And it was potentially putting him at risk, even though he was doing everything for them. And so Jackie was livid with her mother about this.
Okay.
That she wouldn't stop. Yeah, and then, of course, it all switched over when Italy retreated, surrendered, and the Germans came in and occupied Greece. And I didn't realise how they treated the Italians. It's terrible. Shooting resistors and putting Italians in labour camps and concentration camps. Didn't realise that. Thought they were on the same side.
It's very interesting that even Italy and Germany were on the same side, so to speak. Actually, the friction between the German soldiers and the Italian soldiers.
I know.
It's so interesting. There's a really, even though this is a book about Maria Callas, it's a very interesting account of the war in Athens and Greece.
Yeah, which I realised how much I didn't know.
Yeah. So do you get all that in Jackie's book as well?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, they were, in 1941, they were going to escape to Egypt and they didn't quite make it because they started sinking boats.
Wow.
So they're like, we can't go. And then the Prime Minister killed himself. The King went into exile. The army retreated and therefore Athens got occupied. And, that's crazy stuff. But, loads and loads of cities were bombed, really heavily bombed in Greece. But she reckons they were saved because they were right next to the Acropolis.
Athens wasn't bombed?
No, but they literally lived near the Acropolis. They thought that they were sparing that because of its historic value.
Right.
And that's why they were safer in Athens. But yeah, so food was really the worst thing for them because they said the Italian soldiers were quite nice. They sort of had a similar vibe, the cultures. But it was all about how to get food. And they said, look, my mother always paints this terrible, terrible war stories. But she said, you only have to look at photos to see that my sister was fat. And that is proof that we had enough food. We had more than enough. And it's other people had a terrible time, not us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
She literally goes, I could always see my sister's fat ass going into the cupboard to pull out a handful of figs and nuts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. There's a whole different image of this beautiful, slim diva opera star, isn't it? No wonder she ran away from her family, honestly. Where's the respect?
Right.
But yeah, the Nazis, she said, it was a whole different ballgame. When the Germans came, they were really, really scary. Like, it was very oppressive. Did you get that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And very scary that they were asked to harbour soldiers and stuff. And actually, what happened is that the day the soldiers left, because they obviously had like a maid and stuff, and they were just very nervous that they were going to be betrayed, that somebody would turn them over to the authorities.
Yes.
And she said, basically, less than 24 hours after the soldiers left, the Nazis burst in looking for them.
They got searched.
And she said that Maria went to the piano and started playing and singing Tosca. And she said that the soldiers all sat round in a circle listening to her.
Bloody hell.
And then the next day they brought her all breads and cheeses and stuff.
Amazing. Bloody.
Yeah.
So she actually had an admirer of one of these Germans that her mum encouraged to visit a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, as the war went on, they did reopen the theatres and the schools and stuff, and performances were happening. And locally, at least, Maria was actually gaining some success and fame. And then towards the end of the war, actually, during the war, they would be asked to go off and do private recitals for the Germans, actually.
Yeah, they did.
Mum was really encouraging those types of relationships because, of course, it gave them a bit of security during wartime.
Yeah.
When they might have been dragged off at any moment, you know.
Yeah, and opera's such an international thing that actually, when it was all over, she's probably thinking of long-term career as well.
And, you know, it was...
Especially with Italy.
It was near the end of the war in 1944 when they put on this German opera called Tiefland.
Yeah.
It was when Maria actually started getting some international publicity off that. So you're right, opera is a universal
career
thing.
As well. Yeah, and she was doing Beethoven, and yeah, it was all helping, actually, the career. Well, it did help. It did.
What I learnt about this is that the war ends a bit earlier for Greece than the rest of us.
Yeah.
And in the summer of 1944, the troops withdraw, but actually what happens is that the communists in Greece start a civil war.
And the resistance. Yeah, the resistance had been up in the mountains, like you said about the brother.
Yeah, and it sounds more terrifying than the actual war. It was mercifully a lot shorter.
Much more.
But they were just indiscriminately killing people left, right and centre.
They were. And the British had come to secure Greece and actually say, no, you can't take over the government. As they do a lot. We do that a lot. So then there's British fighting the snipers and, literally actual siege in Athens. This is the point where Jackie's had tried to stop her mum and Maria going to Milton's dad to say, you've got to marry Jackie.
Right.
She was so upset by this, she said, I can't go home. So Milton had put her in a hotel in this, not far from their apartment, actually. And then the siege happened. So she's in this hotel on her own. There's no food. Milton's trying to get food to her. She doesn't even know if her mum and Maria are alive or dead.
Yeah.
So they mentioned this. It was just the two of them.
Yeah, Mum and Maria cried because they thought that Jackie was dead because she didn't come home.
Oh, no.
So during the Civil War, there was this square mile in Constitution Square which was safe that the English had barricaded, and the goal was to try and get there.
Yeah.
But until they could, they had to hole up in their apartment, and they hadn't heard from Jackie. They couldn't have the lights on. They couldn't make any noise. And then one day, Maria went into the canary room, and there must have been a shadow cast on the window.
Yeah.
And all of the communists down below opened fire, and they killed all the canaries.
Yep. That is bad.
Devastating.
That was the thing that upset them the most of all of it, including going to leave the apartment and finding a dead American on the doorstep.
Oh, yeah.
It's the canaries that really shattered them.
Of course. Poor little things. But then one by one, like this kid come and knocked on the door, and of course they'd say, you, the Callases. And no, the Callases aren't here, because it's just terrifying to be in this location at this time.
No, they really went through it, yeah.
But actually what happens is that this young soldier comes and gets the trust of them, and he gets Maria. It takes about 24 hours, but Maria manages to get to the safety of Constitution Square. And then Mum manages to get there as well. So they're safe.
Yeah,
actually.
they could have easily been sniped.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. They've got to the hotel where Jackie's at. Well, that's what she says.
Right.
And Milton managed to pay a huge amount of money and get them another room in this abandoned hotel.
So then I would actually say that Milton did actually save their lives during the war then.
He totally saved them. He's the one who sent that boy. He was paying for everything. Yeah, I mean,
gosh, so
completely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they have money, so they survived.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know what? They hadn't heard from Dad because they stopped all letters during the war. So it's now 1945. The Civil War has ended. The last time they heard from Dad was in 1938 when he wrote them a letter and said that he'd opened a pharmacy in Los Angeles, but somehow managed to leave the address off.
Yeah. But he's still in New York, isn't he, when he writes this next letter? So maybe he just put LA to throw him off the scent just in case they went looking for him.
Oh, to throw them off.
Because I don't think he ever went.
So they went to the other side of the country. Yeah. Actually, you're right. Yes, because when Maria goes, she goes to New York and he's there.
Because he's still in New York in 1945. Yeah.
Wow.
He can't possibly have gone to LA and come back. Jackie doesn't even mention LA.
Weird.
That's probably just a letter to Ma.
To Mum.
Yeah. The scent. Yes.
In July of 1945, after the war, Maria actually does her first and only solo recital in Athens, and it is a tremendous success. And so this is really getting her... She's famous locally, but this is really getting her name kind of out there now.
Yeah.
And actually, Maria goes to New York at this point, and there's the contrasting discussions about why she actually went. But it seems like the reason was because she was born in America, she had American citizenship, and after the war, if you didn't go back to America, you would lose it.
Oh, right. Also, there was talk that she needed to sing at the Met, so she needed to go up. Because all these operas, as Jackie describes them, the scenery's crap, the costumes are crap,
Yeah.
She needed to go up a step.
She's locally famous. She's ambitious. She knows where she needs to go if she wants to become a massively famous opera legend.
Yeah.
And it's not staying in Athens.
No.
Yeah.
And these letters coming back from New York, they're like, why isn't she saying she's at the Met yet? They can't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, she nearly gave up and got a job at Macy's, apparently, until she ended up auditioning for the Verona Opera and got in there and went to Italy. And that basically, one thing led to another, and that was, that's the beginning for her, wasn't it?
Yeah, Maria goes back to, this is funny as well, Maria goes back to New York and reunites with her dad.
Yeah.
She lives at her dad's apartment, but after an argument, Maria moves to a hotel and the dad pays the bill. So Maria really is aggressive and argumentative.
She's turned into her mother.
She's a princess herself, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
She's 21, 22 at this point.
Yes,
so she's a grown woman, adult.
She is. And she has grown. Because Jackie says that when she went to America, because it's post-war and they had been hungry, or maybe less hungry than you think, but she went to America and it's this abundant world of burgers and stuff, and she ate them all, burgers, fries, milkshakes. She got even fatter. Then she went to Italy and it's all pasta and ice cream, and she ate all of that and got even bigger.
And in fact, it says that when she was auditioning for some early roles, she thought she didn't get them because she was too fat, but apparently the opera auditioners and stuff said, no, it's actually quite normal. The young ones are too fat and then they lose weight.
Oh, right.
No, so she gets to New York and she's kind of unknown, but she's very talented. And she starts doing the auditioning rounds again. She doesn't really get anything. And then there is this couple called the Bargosies who recognize her talent and they give her voice training. And there's a colleague of theirs who starts a United States Opera Company, which is this big thing with lots of singers, and Maria is chosen as the leading soprano, but the funding falls through. But she still keeps the same agent, and then in 1947, she goes to Italy, because that's where all the great opera is, right? And she actually does a couple of roles over there, and it's the conductor, Tullio Serafin, who is the conductor, of Gioconda. He really recognises her and he's really instrumental now in taking her to the next stage of her career. But at the same time, she meets this older gentleman, Giovanni Meneghini, who she kind of really falls in love with, even though he's 30 years older. But he's a millionaire and he can keep her in a very nice lifestyle.
Yes.
And she doesn't have to worry about anything while she's growing her opera career.
Yes.
So she went to Italy and found two men who really kind of are able to support her while she becomes the legend Maria Callas.
Yeah.
So from this point on, she's kind of really becoming the legend that she is. She's lost all the weight. She's beautiful. She has this amazing voice. She's getting all the good roles. So for the next 4 years between Italy and touring, doing performances in different countries like Argentina, Mexico. She goes back to New York. It's like a 4-year steady and slow burn of becoming a locally known, brilliant opera singer. And then slowly over those 4 years, she becomes the legend that is Maria Callas.
Yeah. Apparently the big leap up in the middle of that was she was doing Valkyrie and the lead in that. And then 2 days later, she stood in for an il soprano in Puritani? Is that how you say that? And she'd learned the part, the words, the music, everything, which is almost impossible. She'd learned it in 1 week when the soprano got ill. And she was already doing this other massive part. She premiered that massive part 2 days later, stood in for this person. And apparently it made history because it's impossible that she could have done that. And the world took notice at that point and said she was a phenomenon. So that was 1950. Yeah, you've got to be really on your top form, focused to pull that off.
Actually, what's happening at this point is that the established opera singers who had been around and been successful for a few years, it really got up their noses that this young woman seemed to have come from nowhere, although we know she didn't. She had put the work in, but she arrived on the scene and all of a sudden she was everyone's favourite and people became very
angry,
became very jealous of her. And I think, you know, she does have a lot of bad press and stuff over the years. And I think it's probably born out of resentment from other opera divas, maybe.
Probably is. But Jackie said she never tried to make any friends because they were her enemies, because she had to get the job over them.
Yeah.
So she was a bitch.
So tell me what Jackie says about this. So we're running out of time. So we have to say that Maria is now Maria Callas, the world legendary opera singer. And Mum says that all of a sudden kind of she's cold as ice and she's not responding to them in the same way. And she basically breaks contact. But she says that Jackie gets in touch with her and she says, I want to come to New York and start a music career. Are you able to help me out financially? And she says Maria replied with a letter saying, Dearest Jackie, why don't you jump in the river and drown yourself?
Oh, my...
Does Jackie say
God,
that?
you're having a laugh.
Why?
She, according to Jackie, right, Mother is persistently, in an unhinged manner, sending letters saying, you owe me, I made you, I need money, you have to send me money, constantly.
Yeah.
And eventually, Maria replied with a letter that said, if you still have no money, you had better jump in the river and drown yourself. And that was a letter to her mother.
No kidding.
And you're saying her mother said that was a letter to Jackie?
Yes. Wow. She's rewriting history.
Amazing.
But she does also say that she then wrote Maria a letter asking for $100 a month. And Maria replied, you're a young woman and you can work. If you can't earn enough to live on, throw yourself out of the window.
Yes. Yes, she did say that.
So she does admit to getting a letter herself, but she did definitely say that the first letter was to Jackie.
Wow. Jackie said she was so shocked that her sister said that she then wrote her a letter saying, look, our mum really doesn't have anything. You've got to help her. And she replied, basically, no. And so she tore up that letter and said, I've got no sister. It's just me and my mum.
Wow.
But she said at that point, her mum kept up the facade of lies within her circle, never admitting she'd been cast aside.
Wow. Well, a line in Mum's book, she says, I have no idea why Maria turned against me.
Oh, right. Yeah,
and it's
right.
like, you must.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Unless she's just so incredibly narcissistic. You know how these people are. They do terrible things for years. And then when somebody turns against them, they're like, what do you mean? What's going on? Because they literally don't know how they are.
No idea.
I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah. And apparently, at the point where it was Maria's first season at the Met, and it was a few days before her premiere at the Met, Metropolitan Opera in New York, Time magazine had come knocking saying, will you do an interview? Jackie said, absolutely not. Mother said, come and see me, and just poured it all out. And when it came out, it was like a bombshell because she'd said all this stuff like she's an ungrateful harridan, she's abandoned her poor, devoted mother to a life of misery and poverty, which is just not true. And then she'd given them that letter and they published a whole letter word for word about having to jump in the river.
Wow.
Yeah, and that Time magazine had Maria Callas on the front cover, which was a big honour, and you open it up and read that this terrible treatment of her mother. And she said at that point, she thinks her mum just still thought she was like a naughty girl who needed a smack.
Right.
But, obviously that's the nail in the coffin. She never, ever, ever heard from her again, ever. She'd already stopped responding anyway, but she also just didn't respond to anybody in the press who wanted an argument. She just said nice things about her mother, so it fizzled away. Mm-hmm. And I think the book you read fizzled away as well.
It does. In fact, I've only got one more thing to say from Mum's book, and it made me howl with laughter because I don't think she realises how much it reveals about herself.
Yeah.
Now, we know through reading one of our favourite books so far, Zsa Zsa Gabor, that Zsa Zsa Gabor's mum had a jewellery shop.
Oh, yes.
And we know that Zsa Zsa Gabor's mum employed Maria Callas's mum to work in the jewellery shop.
Wasn't it a load of pasty fakes?
Oh, yeah, I think it was pasty fakes.
Isn't that where Jackie Collins got that pasty fake so she could pretend to throw it in the sea?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was,
So mum says in this book, so she's already writing this book and she's got no money. And she says, when I started writing this book, I was employed in the New York jewellery shop of Madame Jolie Gabor, which is Zsa Zsa's mother.
Yeah.
And she says, standing up all day was too much for me, however, and my feet swelled to such an alarming extent that the doctor ordered me to take a rest.
Oh, my God.
So that tells you what this woman's done her whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
She worked in a pharmacy and it was too much. She tried to take her own life. And now she's being employed in a jewellery shop and the doctor's telling her to take time off because her feet swelled up.
Because she has to stand
just
up.
standing.
Standing. Oh, dear.
That's who this woman is.
Oh, my God.
You know?
Yeah.
She's a princess. She's an entitled princess.
She really is.
Yeah, wow.
And she says she's got this terrible life, but Jackie says, I know for a fact that she had quite a standing in that Greek-American community.
Yeah.
You know, and the very fact that she's mentioned in Zsa Zsa Gabor's autobiography that my mum employed Maria Callas's mum. So she's important enough to get a mention just for being her mum.
Yes.
She is someone in her environment. She never admits to it. She moans all the time.
Yeah. Her mum's book really smacks of somebody saying, oh, all these terrible things my daughter did to me without acknowledging why she's doing them.
Yes, yeah.
Because you're an arsehole.
Oh. So you would that came across, or was it just since we've had this conversation?
No, when I was reading it, I kind of I thought there must have been more to it, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, I was confused because she basically says one day Maria just cut her off cold. And it's just like, well, there has to be a reason.
She didn't know why.
And I didn't know until you telling me what Jackie says she's basically mentally ill.
She's a total nightmare.
And a nagger.
Yeah, yeah.
So Mum's book finishes in like 1960, but Jackie's goes on a lot longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jackie's goes on because we've got a lot of her life being blank and looking after people and stuff like that we don't need to go into. But Maria died at age 53 in 1977, so 17 years after your book ends.
Yeah.
But 53, so young, and she'd had this high life. She'd gone out with Aristotle Onassis when they were both married, so they both had to divorce their people and get together. I think they were about 9 years together, end of the 50s to near the end of the 60s. Jackie actually goes to visit them on the super yacht with her dad, actually, so they get to have a little bit of the high life just for like a couple of days though. So they have reunited for a minute, and she gets to really actually see her immense wealth and all the jewellery in this crazy yacht, you know.
Yeah.
And the difference with them is ridiculous. But then I want to call her Jackie Onassis. Jackie Kennedy just comes into his life and sweeps in. I don't even think she loves him. It's just a good move for two rich people.
Yeah.
And she becomes Jackie Onassis. And it does seem like Aristotle Onassis carried on seeing Maria for possibly the rest of his life, as well as being married. But once that happened, because she wanted to be married and she wanted kids, I think she might have had a couple of miscarriages. So that was a big source of terrible grief to her, the loss of the kids and the opportunity, the husband, who she really loved. She just started taking a lot of pills and her voice went. And so once she didn't have a voice, she didn't know why she was living. She talked a lot to her sister. They talked a lot at that point. And she's taken a lot of prescription drugs. She was getting her sister to post them from Greece as well.
Right.
And she died of that. But then there's a huge amount of this book then that talks about post-death. Jackie flies to her apartment in Paris and meets this Vaso De Vici, who is Maria's companion for the last years of her life, who basically actually even fed her last sedative. You do wonder. She was a wrong-un. This is a whole other story. That's why it's such a big part of this book. She systematically confidence-tricked the naive Jackie out of most of Maria's fortune and belongings. And ashes and like everything. This poor woman is just so naive. She's never been in showbiz. She's never even seen Maria's apartment. All the stuff. She had like 96 unopened shirts that were all in packages and beautiful things. And she was supposed to get all of this as her relatives. And this woman just took everything. I'll look after this. I'll look after the money. Oh my God, it goes on and on. It's so depressing because meanwhile they're back in Greece with absolutely nothing.
Wow.
The mum's gone to pot because she's lost her beloved daughter and she's just moaning, whinging and crying now.
Oh,
Can you imagine the hell, the absolute hell this poor woman has to put up with, Jackie? Oh my God. And eventually, after years of this, she marries a lovely bloke. The bloke goes, this is wrong, investigates this Vaso woman. She freaks out. She pretty much quite soon then dies, age 60, so she never, ever has to face trial because she was robbing them. Millions spent.
Oh, wow.
And, but they do end up with a little lump sum, so she gets to live out her days, having to fend off friends and relatives who all want to chip off this lump sum.
Gosh.
It's a pirate's treasure. It's rubbish.
Wow.
It's terrible. I know. So she just has a kind of miserable life at the end.
Gosh, like an opera, isn't it?
It's, oh my God, it's an opera, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thrift Shop Biography. We love making this podcast and we're absolutely thrilled that so many of you are already listening. You could really help us out by leaving us a review somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you could share us, tell your friends about us, or drop some links on social media. We have a Facebook page called Thrift Shop Biography, so make sure you come over there to hear about the episodes first and what else we're up to. Okay, see you next week. And if you're new here, there are loads more episodes now to go and listen in the back catalogue, so make sure you go and enjoy them. Okay, thank you very much.